Atikur Rehman ji, now you join the debate. My question is, Atikur Rehman, in the light of BJP's promise in Jharkhand for a uniform civil code, as an antidote to infiltration, and this marriage law that they are bringing, which is going to prevent those marrying tribal women getting tribal identities, why should you oppose it? I mean, we have had this conversation a lot of times earlier also, Atikur Rehman, but essentially, we can actually avoid this quarterly debate on uniform civil code once there is a bare minimum agreement that, okay, fine, these provisions of a common code can be brought in. Can you agree, Atikur Rehman, for that much?
Abhishek, this UCC debate is becoming too interesting, and look at the change. So far, we were expecting a UCC on the guidelines of the Supreme Court and the other courts in India, that the gender justice and gender equality laws are not equal in India, and various religious leaders, they are usurping the identities of the women, and that's why we need a UCC. Now, since the BJP is thinking that they are losing their power on the hilly areas and the hilly regions, so now they are talking of moving out the tribal from this UCC. In the name of marriage and infiltration and this and that. So my question will be to Tuhin, that if the tribal identity is so important to you that you can make tribals out of the UCC, why not people who are demanding to preserve their religious identity be granted it? Of course, if the tribals are also usurping the women's power, you will get hold of them. I am all in favor of a UCC for gender justice and gender equality. In my community, people say that we will not allow the women's equality and women should not get this power and that power. I will damn them. Will the BJP also damn those tribals who want to usurp the powers of the tribal women? In the name of tribal identity, you are giving electricity to them. You are not serious about it. And now, just now, Tuhin is accepting that we are having a piecemeal reform as far as UCC is concerned. Since 30 years, Abhishek, they are having this UCC on their manifesto. So far, as you asked, there is not a national draft policy on UCC.
Okay, Tuhin, just rephrasing what Atikur Rehman is saying for you. Essentially, what he's saying is that what's good for the goose is good for the gander, or should be good for the goose. Whatever is good for the goose should be good for the gander. And if you are so touchy about tribal identity, why not, in the case of Atikur Rehman, apply to Muslims also, in which case the Uniform Civil Code actually falls flat?
I explained it to him that there are express constitutional provisions to safeguard the interest of tribals. He should read the 5th schedule and the 6th schedule, which provide for administration of tribal districts. And the 5th schedule provides it for 10 states. The 6th schedule provides it for Assam and 2 other states. And Article 244 again specifically provides that the 5th and 6th schedule provisions will be upheld in all circumstances. The same constitutional provision does not extend to any other segment of our population. That is the core difference over here, which he is not able to understand.
May I counter this?
Yes, Atikur Rehman.
So you want to say that we should believe the BJP who want to usurp the powers of the minority? The minority still, Mr. Tuhin, has a right to preserve their own culture, their language, their traditions, their... Are you going to usurp this? No, this is your criminal agenda. Abhishek, he is
Atikur ji, Atikur bhai, this will lead to, this will lead to a different debate altogether. What percentage is a minority? A minority which is consistently growing, tomorrow the same minority may reach 30-35% and still you will play the victim and call yourself minority.
Atikur Rehman, let me build on this. Atikur Rehman, Tuhin, let me build on this. Let me build on this argument and put it to Atikur Rehman. He would be free to answer. Atikur Rehman ji, ek baat samajhiye. When I began my conversation, I said that while the Muslim community perpetually pushes this idea of they being under some kind of threat, it's not that under Modi Shah Muslims are under threat or have started believing that they are under threat. They did so during the time of Vajpayee Advani. They did so during the time of 1986, Rajiv Gandhi. They did so during the time of 1955, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru Hindu Code Bills. They did so in 1947 when Nehru Gandhi both were there. And they did so in 1920. They did so in 1905. I mean, it can be unending. This perception of threat. But Atikur Rehman, during all this period of threat, the fact of the matter is that the Muslim population has had a healthy rate of growth and which has been more than the national average, more than the majority community of the country. And just as you have a threat perception, there is a majority community's threat perception that there are pockets growing which are absolutely outside the national framework. I will give you an example. Murshidabad, Atikur Rehman, when the first census happened in 1951. The Muslim population was 55%. Today, it stands at about 70%. And from 1952 onwards, not a single election, any other person but Muslim community members have been elected from the constituency. So obviously, when you talk about a Muslim constituency, you say, oh, what's wrong if a Muslim is getting elected from a Muslim constituency? And other places, you would talk about things like, proportional representation, greater say, this, that. So, I mean, this using constitutional provisions to push a certain idea of a threat which does not exist, makes the conversation difficult, Atikur Rehman, and that is why perhaps this idea of a uniform civil code, so that we don't have 1955, 1986, and whatever has happened, for example, in the case of the triple talaq law, etc. The debate can end if this uniform civil code comes in, or some understanding of a common code for which the communities can sit and discuss.
Abhishek, I understand that the BJP wants to describe the Muslims with a very new denomination, saying that the Muslims are not a minority, but the second largest majority. I have no qualms with the BJP. In Parliament, they have a majority. They should amend the Constitution of India and redefine what is a minority in India. I have no qualms if they declare themselves that Hindus are in minority in Jammu and Kashmir or Hindus are in minority in Murshidabad. As you said, the population of Muslims are increasing in Murshidabad. Now, UCC, the primary article UCC, why is not there a national draft policy? Why is BJP going back to its own manifesto and now having a piecemeal measure? Maybe, tomorrow if they are losing elections somewhere, even in Maharashtra, maybe they will be coming, any of their leaders will be coming that, okay, the Muslims are out of the UCC. We are crossing our fingers and waiting for that day. Because they need the votes of the people. They are not serious with gender justice and gender equality, Abhishek.